Hi everyone. The COVID-19 pandemic is far from over, and in an attempt to strengthen our fight against the SARS coronavirus 2, which is the causative agent of COVID-19 disease, the Drugs Controller General of India has given approval for emergency use of two protein subunit vaccines, which I'm going to talk about in this very video. So guys, the very first protein subunit vaccine is COR-B Vax, and this vaccine has been manufactured by a Hyderabad-based biopharmaceutical firm, namely the Biological E Limited, in conjunction with the Baylor College of Medicine, and the adjuvant in this vaccine is being supplied by Dynavax Technologies. Now, what an adjuvant is and how important it is for any vaccine, about that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. So, the very first vaccine is COR-B Vax, which, as I said, is a protein subunit vaccine. Now, to understand what exact protein is there in this vaccine and how the vaccine is going to act, we must first review the structure of the SARS coronavirus. Now guys, on the screen you can see this structure of the virus, where you can see different kinds of structural proteins, namely the spike protein, membrane protein, envelope protein and nucleocapsid protein. They can be easily remembered as MENS, and the sky blue colored outline represents the envelope of this virus, which is nothing but phospholipid bilayer in nature. Now the envelope is pretty important when it comes to protection against this virus, about which I am going to talk about in the end of the video. Okay, for now just remember that the envelope is made up of phospholipid bilayer. Alright, and we all know that this is an RNA virus. The genome is a molecule of single stranded positive sense RNA. So this is the structure of the virus, and an utmost important structural component is the spike protein, because it is with the help of spike protein that the virus is going to enter the host cell, and spike protein is the target for most of the vaccines. So guys, talking about spike protein, we need to understand how exactly infection occurs in case of SARS coronavirus 2 as far as the host cells are concerned. So basically, there are certain host cell proteases, namely TMPRSS2, which stands for transmembrane protease serine 2. TMPRSS2 is going to cause cleavage of the S protein, and this cleavage is going to produce S1 subunit. It is the S1 subunit which is going to attach to or bind to the angiotensin converting enzyme 2, that is ACE2 receptor, which is decorated on the surface of the host cell. And cleavage is also going to produce S2 subunit of spike protein, and S2 subunit is responsible for fusion of the viral envelope with the host cell membrane, which by the way also is nothing but a phospholipid bilayer. So basically the envelope and the host cell membrane both are phospholipid bilayers only. Alright. Now, I want you all to focus on the structure of the spike protein, which, as I just said, on cleavage it is going to produce S1 and S2 subunits, and as far as S1 portion is concerned, S1 has got a bigger region called as RBD, that is receptor binding domain, which has got a smaller portion called as RBM, that is receptor binding motif. Alright, and most of the vaccines, as I said, they target S protein, and some of the vaccines are going to target the RBM and some target RBD specifically. So that's about the structure of the virus and details about the S protein. Now guys, as far as COR-B Vax vaccine is concerned, in this vaccine, we make use of a gene which is going to encode for RBD. Please remember, we are not going to exactly use the gene in this vaccine, but we are going to exploit this gene into something else. Now, what that exploitation or manipulation is, look at this. So, we have got this blue spiral structure, which is nothing but the gene encoding RBD, that is receptor binding domain, and this gene has its eyes on a very fancy structure for which I have used green color. This is nothing but a harmless yeast called as Pichia pastoris. Alright. Now this Pichia pastoris, when it greets this gene which is going to encode for the RBD protein, a dialogue happens between these two fellows. Alright. So the gene is basically very happy to Pichia pasturis, because the gene is telling the yeast that I have the information to produce the RBD protein, that is receptor binding domain, and Pichia pasturis is quite pleased to meet this gene, because as soon as this gene enters Pichia pasturis is going to act or behave like a Xerox machine. That is, it is going to manufacture many copies of the RBD protein. Okay, so Pichia pasturis is going to rapidly build defense in the form of RBD, and it is this RBD protein which is going to be there in the Corbevax vaccine. Alright, so we make use of the recombinant DNA technology to insert this gene into the yeast, and we then harvest the RBD proteins from the yeast and purify those proteins. Alright, so this is a very beautiful scanning electron microscopic picture of Pichia pasturis. For medical students, let me remind them that the scanning electron microscopy gives you the 3D image of the objects or the cells, whatever you want to see, and the transmission electron microscope, which is the second type of electron microscope, that gives you two-dimensional or cross-sectional image. So in this picture you can see the three-dimensional structure of the yeast Pichia pasturis taken with the help of a scanning electron microscope. Alright, so as I said, the yeast is going to get the gift of the gene via the recombinant DNA technology, and we are going to then get many copies of the RBD, that is receptor binding domain protein, and this protein is then going to be purified. And the Corbevax vaccine is nothing but this very protein. It is referred to as a protein subunit vaccine. But guys, alone this protein is not very competent enough to inspire or stimulate our immune system into producing a robust or strong immune response. So what do? We take the help of an adjuvant. Now guys, what circuit is to Munna Bhai is exactly what an adjuvant does for a vaccine. That is, an adjuvant is going to help a vaccine into producing a robust, that is strong, and a rapid immune response. Alright, so this kind of vaccine, which is just going to have a protein component of the virus, it is usually formulated with the addition of an adjuvant. So we have got the purified RBD proteins tagged with the adjuvant, and in this very vaccine, that is the Corbevax vaccine, the adjuvant use is CpG 1018. Now what is this? Now CpG 1018 are nothing but oligonucleotides, where C stands for cytosine and G stands for guanine, and the small p refers to the phosphodiester bond. Alright, now CpG 1018 adjuvant is being supplied by the US based Dynavax Technologies company for the creation of this vaccine, that is Corbevax. Alright, so CpG 1018 adjuvant has shown in preclinical and clinical studies to produce more number of antibodies, more number of immunocompetent T helper cells, as well as TC cells, that is T cytotoxic cells. And also guys, please remember that CpG 1018 also targets a very important receptor known as the TLR9, that is toll-like receptor 9, which helps in building up a very good innate immune response. Alright, and please remember the CpG 1018 motif or the adjuvant has also been used as an adjuvant in another vaccine by Dynavax Technologies, and that vaccine is against hepatitis B, namely HepliSav-B. So that's about the adjuvant used in this vaccine. Alright guys, so this vaccine is referred to as a protein subunit vaccine. Now some students might ask, why don't we call it as a cell-derived vaccine? We don't call it a cell-derived vaccine, which is inappropriate for such a vaccine, precisely because guys, viruses are not cells. Viruses are intermediate between living and non-living entities, and the best descriptive phase for viruses is obligate intracellular infectious particles. Alright, so viruses do not have a cellular morphology, so we are not going to use the term cell derived vaccine. Alright, so we are using a component, a unit of the virus, and that subunit is protein. So this kind of vaccine is known as protein subunit vaccine, which has been manufactured by the recombinant DNA technology. Also remember guys, the recombinant DNA technology has been in vogue for the creation of a lot of other vaccines and a lot of other biologically important molecules, and it is hoped that this very technology for the creation of Corbevax vaccine is going to pave the way for creation of this vaccine on a very large scale and at a very low cost, so that it becomes accessible to a large chunk of the population, so as to create herd immunity, and that is why it is being regarded as the world COVID-19 vaccine. Alright, so let's stay hopeful. So what is going to happen once the vaccine is taken by the vaccine recipient? There's going to be a generation of immune response in the form of antibodies, the helper T cells, immunocompetent helper T cells, that is CD4 positive T cells, which in turn are going to be of several varieties like Th1, Th2, Th17, and we are going to have TC cells, that is cytotoxic T cells also, which are CD8 positive. Now imagine somebody has taken the vaccine and all these weapons, that is arms and ammunitions, have been created by virtue of taking the vaccine. So suppose this vaccinated individual gets infected with the virus. Now what will happen? Now the virus is going to be attacked by the antibodies, the helper T cells and the cytotoxic T cells, and the poor virus is going to be in a fix. All these weapons are going to neutralize the virus, alright, so the person won't develop any symptoms. Or the other possibility is that, let's say, the dose of the virus which has caused the infection is very great, or the vaccine has produced lesser number of antibodies and cells. So in that case, the vaccinated person might develop only mild disease, alright, and then there could be other rare scenarios where even after taking the vaccine, sometimes severe disease can occur. So guys, please remember, I want to clarify two very important points over here. Number one, if you have taken the vaccine, it's not that you cannot get infected. Of course you can get infected, because the virus is going to enter through the nose. Alright, so keep your mask up, keep wearing the mask as recommended by the health professionals, because vaccines cannot prevent infection. Vaccines can just prep you up to fight the infection which happens. Alright, so the other thing which I want to clarify over here is, do all these vaccines work against the variants? Yes or no? Guys, we have got literally nothing to lose if we take vaccines. Vaccines are a very important tool to combat this virus. So if not vaccinated yet, please go and take your jab. Alright, it might happen that the immunity which is going to be generated after getting infected with a new variant is not as much as compared to a previous variant, but guys, something is better than nothing. So please, if not yet vaccinated, go get your shot today only. Alright, so that's about the Corbevax vaccine. And the second vaccine which I'm going to talk about today is the Covovax vaccine, also known as Nuvaxovid, also known as NVX-CoV2373 vaccine. Covovax and Nuvaxovid are the brand names of the second protein subunit vaccine, which has been approved for emergency use by the Drugs Controller General of India. Now this vaccine has been developed by Novavax and CEPI. Alright, now what is the basis of this vaccine? It is a protein subunit vaccine, and in this vaccine we make use of a virus known as baculovirus. Now baculo is a Latin word which means cane or walking stick. So basically baculoviruses are cane shaped or rod shaped DNA viruses which have attraction for insects. They basically attack and infect insects. So in this figure on the screen, you can see a happy baculovirus which has got the red colored DNA. But the DNA has got an additional gene, and that gene is nothing but the gene for the modified spike protein. Okay, so the modified spike protein gene is present in the genome or the DNA of this virus, and that's why it's pretty happy, because it's all spiced up with the modified spike protein gene. Now, what is meant by modified spike protein? Now guys, the spike protein of the SARS coronavirus 2 is modified by adding two amino acid residues, namely two proline residues. Alright, we want to modify the spike protein in this way by adding two proline residues so as to stabilize the spike protein. So that it doesn't get destabilized, or it doesn't break down before we attach it to some other particle for creating the vaccine. Okay, so our idea is to manufacture stable spike proteins or modified spike proteins. So what do? We take baculoviruses and we insert the gene for the modified spike protein into these baculoviruses. Alright. Now, next, these baculoviruses are made to infect a kind of cell, a type of moth cells known as SF9 cells. Alright. So these moth cells, namely SF9 cells, are going to be attacked by those baculoviruses which have got the gene for the modified spike protein, and these SF9 cells are then going to produce or express the modified spike proteins on their cell membranes, and these modified spike proteins are then going to be extracted or harvested and again purified. Alright, now in case of this vaccine, what happens? These modified spike proteins, they are decorated or attached onto what is known as a solid lipid nanoparticle, which is approximately 50 nanometers in diameter. Now, solid lipid nanoparticles are nothing but phospholipid monolayers, as you can see in this picture, which have got up to 14 modified spike proteins on them. Alright, so some workers also like to call this vaccine as a viral protein kind of vaccine or a nanoparticle based vaccine, which are also correct descriptive technologies. And guys, this is all because this is also a protein subunit vaccine, and as I said before, in case of such vaccines, we usually need to add an adjuvant so as to accelerate the immune response. The adjuvant used in this case is known as Matrix M. Matrix M is a saponin based adjuvant, and it is obtained from the soap bark tree. Alright, now guys, saponins are substances which are known to accelerate the immune response. Alright, and they are used in a lot of veterinary vaccines and agriculture and animal feeds also. So this is also Matrix M, which is a saponin based adjuvant, is also a very good adjuvant, alright, which is used in this vaccine. So guys, so these are the two protein subunit vaccines. The first one, the Corbevax vaccine, uses the RBD protein, and this vaccine, Covovax, uses the modified spike protein. And both the vaccines have got their separate adjuvants. The CpG 1018 adjuvant is used in the Corbevax vaccine, and the Matrix M, which is a saponin based adjuvant, is used in this vaccine, the Covovax vaccine. Alright. So guys, as I said before, the pandemic is far from over, and in an attempt to combat the virus, new and new vaccines are coming up, and two of such new vaccines which have been approved for emergency use in India, I have spoken in this video so far. Alright, so guys, what we can and should do in from our end to combat this virus. Of course, we have to mask up and we have to maintain physical distancing. And the third thing which I would like to emphasize over here, which I mentioned in the beginning of the video also, is remember the envelope of the virus I said is phospholipid bilayer, and a very important tool to combat this virus is sanitization with alcohol based sanitizer, or simple act of washing the hands with soap and water. This is because the alcohol and soap, which has got detergent activity, they are going to disrupt the envelope of the virus, which is carrying the spike proteins on its surface. And the good thing about envelope viruses is that when the envelope is disrupted, then the proteins which are decorated on the envelope go away, and it is the envelope proteins only which are going to attach to the host cell. So that is why sanitization is so very important, washing hands is so important, and also cleaning of the environmental surfaces also is very very important. All right, because this virus is known to survive for variable durations on different inanimate or non-living objects. And please remember, if you touch any surface, please don't put your hand, don't rub your eyes, don't do nose picking, don't keep your fingers in the mouth, wash your hands before eating something, because the contact, because another way apart from inhalation, the other way by which this virus can cause infection is via contact with the mucous membranes. That is why masking up, maintaining social distancing and sanitization are so very important, are three very very important tools to combat this virus. Please remember, the variants could be new, but our strategies to combat these viruses are old only, that is physical distancing, masking up and sanitization. Of course, the new things, the new weapons are the new vaccines which are coming up. Alright, now guys, one thing I really would want to emphasize in this before I end this video is, this very sad picture where, people are really not covering the nose, they are just, the masks are literally, dangling on their chin, and I really feel extremely sad to see all this, because please, as I said before, the itinerary of the virus involves the nose and not the chin. Even if you are vaccinated, you can get infected. So please mask up. Do not underestimate mask. You can save your own self and you can save people around you also. Now guys, the last thing which I would want to really highlight before I end this video is, I'll just give you a simple example of the importance of mask and vaccines. Now guys, suppose by the way, I have taken the vaccine. Suppose let's say somebody, okay, I'll take my own example only. I have taken the vaccine and by God's grace my immunity is very good, but I'm not wearing the mask, and suppose I get infected. Because my immunity is very good, I'm not going to manifest any signs and symptoms, but still I would be shedding the virus because I'm infected. So what am I doing? By not wearing the mask, I'm putting others around me in danger also. Alright, so people around me who suppose have also not worn the mask, they are now going to catch infection because I am shedding the virus, because I am infected. But I am not manifesting any signs and symptoms, so I am completely laid back and relaxed. I am not following any precautions. Now guys, my immunity is good. I have not developed any symptoms, but I am putting the lives of people around me at risk by passing on infection to them. So it's very important for me to wear the mask even if I have taken the vaccine. Alright, so please understand the importance of vaccination and masking up. We still have a long way to go before this pandemic ends. Alright, so with that, on that note, I shall end this video. And guys, if you want to understand the mechanism of the mRNA vaccines against COVID-19, I have done a separate video on mRNA vaccines, whose link I'm gonna share in the description below in this video. Alright, so if you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Do let me know in the comment section your views, and your feedback means a lot. Please share this video with your family, friends, and share awareness about these vaccines. You can, if you like my work, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and smash the bell icon for notification for my future videos. You can also follow me on Instagram, where I am running my own Instagram handle as mj.micro, and you can follow me on Twitter and on Facebook also. My Facebook page name is Dr. Mamta Java, and my Facebook handle is Mamta Java. The link of all these social media handles I'm gonna share in the description below in this video. So that's about it guys. Until I am back with the next video. Study well everyone, and God bless.